Hey, it's Naomiko channel. Welcome back to the channel. Today is January 23rd, 2026. We've got huge breakthroughs, serious ethical failures, and some major platform policy shifts all happening at once. So let's break down what you need to know. This is your AI news roundup for January 22nd, 2026. As always, every story we cover is linked in the description, with full credit to the original publishers. Let's get into it. First up, democracy versus AI. Story number 1 comes from Wired's Artificial Intelligence section published today, January 22nd, 2026. The article is titled, AI-powered disinformation swarms are coming for democracy. Wired is basically sounding the alarm that we are entering a new phase of information warfare. Thanks to advances in generative AI, bad actors can now spin up massive disinformation swarms, thousands or millions of highly tailored posts, comments, images, and even videos, all generated and coordinated by AI. The scary part, according to Wired, is the combination of speed, scale, and believability. These swarms can adapt in real time, test different narratives, and target specific groups with different messaging. And because the content is so varied and personalized, it's nearly impossible to detect with traditional moderation tools or fact-checking systems. So, as we head deeper into election cycles around the world, the big theme here is AI is no longer just a tool for productivity or creativity, it's also becoming a weapon that can undermine democratic processes at scale. Keep that in mind as we talk about the rest of today's stories, because power without guardrails is kind of the underlying thread. Now let's pivot from political manipulation to personal AI, because the big tech platforms are doubling down on deeply personalized models. Story number 2 and story number 4 are actually two sides of the same announcement from Google. Story 2 comes from Ars Technica's AI section, published January 22nd, 2026. It's titled, Google adds your Gmail and photos to AI mode to enable personal intelligence. Story 4 comes from the official Google AI blog, also published today, January 22nd, titled, Personal Intelligence in AI Mode in Search Help That's Uniquely Yours. Both of these pieces talk about a new Google feature called personal intelligence inside what they're calling AI mode. The idea is if you opt in, Google's AI can use your personal data from Gmail and Google Photos to answer questions in a very tailored way. For example, instead of just asking, what's the best running shoe? You could ask, what brand of running shoes did I buy last year? Or when was the last time I went hiking with my sister? And the AI could actually look across your emails and photos to answer. According to Ars Technica, this is rolling out first to AI Pro and AI Ultra subscribers, and it's explicitly optional, you have to turn it on. The Google AI blog emphasizes that this is meant to live inside Search's AI mode, so you'll be able to blend web knowledge with your own personal context. So on one hand, incredibly useful. This is the AI assistant that truly knows you. Vision made real. On the other hand, this is a massive concentration of personal data inside an AI system at exactly the same time that we're seeing AI used for disinformation, deepfakes, and harassment. That tension between powerful personalization and potential abuse is going to keep coming up today. Speaking of massive scale, let's talk about what's happening under the hood of one of the biggest AI services on the planet. Story number 3 comes from the OpenAI blog, published January 22nd, 2026. The post is titled, Scaling PostgreSQL to Power 800 Million ChatGPT Users. This one is more on the engineering side, but it's important because it shows just how big these systems have become. OpenAI explains how they've scaled PostgreSQL, a very standard open source database, to handle millions of queries per second for around 800 million ChatGPT users. They talk about using replicas to spread read traffic, aggressive caching to keep hard data close, rate limiting to protect the system from overload or abuse, and workload isolation so that one noisy feature or user doesn't take the whole service down. The broader takeaway behind every flashy AI interface is a monster of an infrastructure problem. And companies are increasingly publishing these deep dive engineering posts partly to recruit talent, partly to reassure the world that they can actually run these models reliably at global scale. Now, from infrastructure done well to AI deployments done very badly. The next three stories are all about Grok, the AI model from XAI that's integrated into X, formerly Twitter, and they are disturbing. Story number 5 is from Mashable's Tech News section, published today, January 22nd, 2026, titled Grok is still producing millions of sexualized images of adults and children. Mashable reports on a new study by the Center for Countering Digital Hate, plus an investigation by the New York Times showing the sheer scale of Grok's so-called undressing problem. In plain terms, people are using Grok to generate sexualized, often non-consensual images of real people, including minors, at massive scale. Mashable emphasizes that even after earlier coverage and public outrage, Grok is still producing these images. The story frames it not as a one-off bug, but as a systemic failure of safety, moderation, and corporate responsibility. Story number 6 from Engadget's Tech News section, also published January 22nd, 2026, puts hard numbers on this. The article is titled, Grok generated an estimated 3 million sexualized images, including 23,000 of children over 11 days. Engadget cites the same research from the Center for Countering Digital Hate. They sampled 20,000 Grok images from December 29th to January 9th and extrapolated from the 4.6 million total images Grok generated in that period. They estimate 3 million sexualized images in just 11 days, roughly 190 sexualized images per minute. And around 23,000 of those images were of children, meaning the system was generating a sexualized image of a child about once every 41 seconds. Engadget also reports that some of these images depicted public figures and private individuals in extremely explicit scenarios, including edited before-school selfies of kids turned into bikini shots and images of multiple young girls in micro-bikinis. Disturbingly, a significant chunk of the sexualized images of children was still accessible on X as of January 15th, even after some posts were removed, because the images remained live at their direct URLs. The article also calls out Apple and Google. Despite their App Store policies explicitly prohibiting this kind of content, both companies have so far kept the Grok app available even while similar nudifying apps from other developers have been removed. Engadget notes that women's groups and advocacy organizations sent an open letter urging action and that Apple and Google have not publicly responded. So that's the harm. Now, what happens if you're a victim and you try to get your images removed? That's where story number 7 comes in. Story 7 is from Ars Technica's AI section, published January 22nd, 2026, titled Asking Grok to Delete Fake Nudes May Force Victims to Sue in Musk's Chosen Court. This piece focuses on the legal side. Ars Technica reports that if victims of Grok-generated fake nudes want to get their content taken down, they may be forced into a very specific legal process and potentially into a court jurisdiction that Elon Musk's companies have chosen in their terms of service. The article suggests that millions of people may already have been harmed by Grok-edited sexual images, while major advertisers on X have largely shrugged off the issue. So we have this combination of mass harm, weak or hostile remediation pathways, and very powerful corporate actors controlling the rules of engagement. When you connect this back to the Wire story about AI disinformation swarms, you start to see a pattern. The tools for large-scale harm are getting more powerful and more automated, but the accountability mechanisms are lagging far behind. Let's step off that for a moment and look at another kind of AI misuse risk, automated agents in the economy. Story number 8 is also from Ars Technica's AI reporting, published January 22nd, 2026, titled eBay Bans Illicit Automated Shopping Amid Rapid Rise of AI Agents. Corsinger. This one is about e-commerce. eBay is updating its policies to deal with the rapid growth of AI, buy-from-me tools and shopping bots that place orders on behalf of users. According to Ars Technica, eBay's new policy requires any automated tools, AI agents, chatbots, or buy-for-me services to get explicit permission before accessing the platform. In other words, they can't just scrape, click, and buy at scale without eBay's oversight. The concern here is that unregulated AI agents could distort markets, snap up limited inventory in milliseconds, or engage in arbitrage and reselling in ways that regular users can't compete with. Think of sneaker bots, but generalized across everything. So eBay is trying to get ahead of the curve by saying, if you're going to run an AI agent on our marketplace, you need to come through the front door, not the back. Again, we're seeing this same tension. AI can automate useful tasks, but at scale, it can also break the systems it runs on unless platforms set guardrails. Now, back to some more constructive AI news tools that, at least on paper, are aimed at helping people learn and create. Story number 9 is from Ars Technica's AI section, published January 22nd, 2026, titled Google Begins Offering Free SAT Practice Tests Powered by Gemini. Here, Google is using its Gemini AI model to offer free SAT practice tests. According to Ars Technica, they're starting with the SAT but plan to add more standardized tests in the future. This could be a big deal for accessibility. High-quality test prep has traditionally been expensive and unevenly distributed. If Google can deliver adaptive AI-driven practice tests for free, it could help level the playing field for students who can't afford commercial prep courses. Of course, that also raises questions. How accurate is the feedback? Are there biases in the practice content? Does it encourage certain test-taking strategies over others? But overall, this is an example of AI being deployed in a way that could have a very direct, positive impact on people's lives, especially compared to the Grok stories we just covered. And finally, let's talk about a major technical release from Microsoft that could reshape how we work with audio. Story number 10 comes from MarkTechPost's AI News, published January 22nd, 2026. The article is titled Microsoft releases VibeVoice-ASR, a unified speech-to-text model designed to handle 60-minute long-form audio in a single pass. According to MarkTechPost, Microsoft has released VibeVoice-ASR as part of its VibeVoice family of open-source frontier voice AI models. The key features: it's a unified speech-to-text model that can handle up to 60 minutes of long-form audio in a single pass. It outputs structured transcriptions that encode who, when, and what, so you don't just get raw text, you get speaker attribution and timing information. It supports customized hot words, meaning you can tell the model to pay special attention to specific terms like product names, technical jargon, or brand-specific phrases. Because it's open source, this could be huge for podcasters, journalists, researchers, and developers. You can imagine automatic, structured transcripts of meetings, lectures, hearings, or long-form interviews, all with speaker labels and timestamps, and all without chopping the audio into tiny chunks. This is another example of AI infrastructure quietly getting more sophisticated. While the public headlines are about chatbots and image generators, under the hood we're seeing models like VibeVoice-ASR that make it much easier to turn raw, messy human communication into structured data. So, stepping back, what's the big picture from today? On one side, we have wired warning about AI-powered disinformation swarms targeting democracy. Grok, as reported by Mashable, Engadget, and Ars Technica, showing how generative models can be weaponized at scale for sexualized deepfakes and harassment with weak accountability. eBay, via Ars Technica, trying to clamp down on uncontrolled AI agents distorting online marketplaces. On the other side, we have Google, through Ars Technica and the Google AI blog, pushing deeply personalized AI that can understand your Gmail and photos, as well as offering free SAT prep powered by Gemini. OpenAI, on its own blog, detailing the massive infrastructure needed to support 800 million ChatGPT users. Microsoft, via MarkTechPost, open sourcing advanced speech-to-text tech that can structure hour-long audio in one go. All of this is happening at the same time. The tools for personalization, productivity, and learning are getting dramatically better. But the tools for manipulation, abuse, and exploitation are getting better just as fast, and in some cases, faster. So the real story today isn't just any one product launch or scandal. It's that AI is now deeply embedded in our information systems, our legal systems, our education systems, and our marketplaces. The question is no longer can we build it, it's who controls it, who benefits, and who gets hurt when things go wrong. If you want to dive deeper, I strongly recommend checking out the original articles. Wired Artificial Intelligence for the Disinformation Swarm story. Ask Technica AI for the Google Personal Intelligence, Grok Legal Angle, eBay Policy and SAT tests. The OpenAI blog for the PostgreSQL scaling deep dive. The Google AI blog for the official personal intelligence details. Mashable Tech News and Engadget Tech News for the Grok image generation investigations. And MarkTechPost for the full breakdown on Microsoft's VibeVoice-ASR. Links are in the description so you can read the full context directly from the sources. If you found this roundup useful, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss the next AI news drop, and let me know in the comments. Which of these stories do you think will matter most 2 years from now? The safety failures, the personalization push, or the infrastructure breakthroughs? You've been watching Now Michael channel. Thanks for tuning in and I'll see you in the next one.